What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Arena with SEADUB. Hope everybody's doing well out there, and I hope everybody is smashing their goals, making some new goals, and taking on a new week with a new perspective and new mentality for success. Today I want to talk about people that don't believe in your abilities and goals and stuff like that, and why they don't matter. How many times in life have you had something that you wanted to do, but you realized it was a bad idea, or thought it was a bad idea, or maybe somebody talked you out of doing something that you thought was a really good idea? Because some people are too rational, some people are too pessimistic, and some people just suffer from a thinking error that I believe in called not thinking big enough. Not thinking big enough is a legitimate thought error in my opinion, and I think it plagues a lot of people and holds them back from their highest abilities. I think if some people thought with larger ideas and larger outcomes and thought about living a larger life, they would end up in situations where they would be happier with what they created, and maybe they would surprise the expectations of others, because a lot of people live inside of a box that other people make for them, and they never truly break out of that mold. And I do fully believe this applies to a lot of things in life, guys. If we settle for other people's opinions and other people's thoughts and restraints that they place within their thoughts of who we are, we will never live up to what our true potential could be. I've had some situations in my life where people told me that I couldn't accomplish some of the things that I wanted to do. Maybe that I wouldn't be as good at them as I was or am. And they were completely wrong every time, And that's only because I was willing to take and understand the work that was required to be put in to reach the levels that I wanted to be, or maybe go to the next level. And I understood, that I had to put in the time and work and effort to reach those things and grasp for those goals. And every time, you have to step up to the plate, you have to step into the arena and take on those challenges. The sad thing is, guys, is that a lot of the time, the people that don't believe in you are sometimes the people that are right next to you. And you have to know when to either shut your ears to those people or disconnect from those people, because hearing that your goals, ambitions, dreams are unrealistic, unworthwhile, or that you simply are not good enough to achieve them from people that you look up to, people that you respect, that will really hurt your momentum and really slow you down. And a lot of the times it can kill you before you even get started. You won't even get off the ground because you'll be too affected and too hurt by what people you trust and love have said, pertaining to what they think you can or can't do. But ultimately, it's not up to them. Everything is up to what you want to do. Sometimes, when you're on the path for success and the quest for greatness, every odd will be stacked against you. And when you want to reach the top levels, every obstacle is going to be thrown in your way to try and persuade you, dissuade you, and keep you from reaching those higher goals. And, the low-hanging fruit is the easiest one to pick. But it's that fruit that's at the top. It's the biggest reward, and those low-hanging fruits, they're going to be picked off by those that can't climb to the top. It's also easy to be discouraged when you see the people full of the low-hanging fruits, right? And you see how easy it is for some people's lifestyles, desires, and goals to get by on. But when you have goals of a lot higher standards and substance, sometimes you'll see people that have picked all those low-hanging fruit, and it's easy sometimes to become jealous and say, that look what the easy route is doing for them. But when you look at the people on the other end of it, they had delayed gratification. They had a lot of stumbling blocks to overcome. They had a lot of danger and a lot of discouragement in their path. But when you see the end result, wow, that's really what it's all about. I think a lot of people need to raise their standards as far as what they accept and what they ambition for in life. We only have one shot at all this, so I think you need to go for the gold. If you look at the life you live today, right now, say it was all over today, what would the regrets be? Would you regret how you spent your time differently? Would you regret how you spent your day? Would you regret how you spent the last year? What about the last 2 years, the last 5 years, huh? If you think that if you had to know when all this was coming to an end, what would you do differently? And would you listen to what other people have to say about what you should do differently? Or would you just do it your way and let them deal with, the fact that they thought you couldn't or thought you should do something different? Because at the end of the day, when you have to lay down and it's your day to go, you're the only one that goes. They don't go with you, you know, and what's the cost, right? And when I say the cost, it's just more about what does it cost you, not in a monetary value, but is it costing you your dignity? Is it costing you your pride? Is it costing you, you know, your self-image as far as who you know that you should be? And if you're not living up to that, then you need to make some changes so that you can. Me personally, I like to take a risk. You know, I feel like if we're not going to take a risk, what's the point of even waking up in the morning? Because I wasn't put here to play it safe. You know, I've beat the odds so far as even being here. And you've beat a lot of odds being here to where you're at as well. When you think about how stacked against us all this is, you know, fuck playing it safe. I don't want to play it safe. I don't want to do that. And, you know, I've had to listen to a lot of backlash over the years because, you know, I haven't always played it safe. I've always been a person that's down to roll the dice and take the risk. And even in this stage in life, I'm really heavy on betting on myself. And listen, you know, I have to sometimes let a lot of that go in one ear and out the other. I don't let it affect me so much because I know at the end of the day, none of these people have to live with the circumstances and, you know, everything that either I've created or life has created for me. And let's talk about an uncomfortable topic of this. You know, I've lived a lot of my life feeling like I've struggled to live up to the expectations, and not even just the expectations. It's like sometimes you feel like an underachiever, right? Because you look at the people that have picked different fruits. Some of them is low hanging. Some people have achieved higher hanging fruits. I won't hold that against them. But, you know, a lot of my recent life, you know, ever since I've made recovery and stuff like that, which is a permanent recovery. A lot of people talk about recovery, but they don't want to talk about the truth of it. You know, I've made a permanent recovery for life. Part of that sobriety and clear mind thinking is, you know, wow, what of my life have I wasted? And, you know, I feel like an underachiever. I haven't reached my true potential and haven't, you know, lived up to the expectations that others have for me and what I feel like I should have accomplished by now. But the truth of the matter is, you know, you got to let go of those thoughts and feelings. And, you know, some of those thoughts and feelings you need to live with, you know, because that's going to push you to reach the next goal. But ultimately, every day we wake up, you know, we've been given a new chance to do this. And every day we wake up, we get a new chance to do this. And lightning only needs to strike one time, you know. So don't get too caught up and hurt over what happened in the past, the decisions that you made, because, man, you've been given another opportunity to do all this again. Every day is a new opportunity. You know, I understand I took some losses in the past. I understand that I've made some mistakes, big mistakes, but every single day I'm given the chance to rewrite, you know, my story and add to my story, thankfully. And I'm going to use that to, you know, make my story the way I want it to be. We're the author of our own destinies, our own books. You know what I'm saying? And by that I mean the story, because the story is going to be just as important as the glory. That's something I always tell my guys, you know, stay true to your story, because without having a good story to tell, people aren't going to listen. The story is going to be just as important as the glory, y'all. And with what I'm saying, you know, the story being as important as the glory, when you make it to the levels that you always wanted to reach, you're going to have to explain how you did it. You're going to have to explain what you overcame and what you did. But if every time you face, you know, adversity and disappointment and people telling you that you should have done it a different way or did things differently, if you listen to those people every single time, they're killing your story. Don't let these motherfuckers write your story for you. You be the author of your own book every time, guys. Bet on yourself. I'm heavy on that right now. Bet on yourself, because these other people are probably not betting on you. And if you're not doing something inspiring enough, why would they even have a reason to bet on you? In other words, guys, you know, I'm talking about people that don't believe, whether it's your friends, families, loved ones. I don't know who the people are around you. But you got to be willing to disconnect from these people to save your own story, guys. You got to save yourself, because nobody's coming to save you. People always say that, but nobody's coming to save you. Listen, you got to be your own savior. You got to write your own story. And when people don't believe you, you have to respectfully disconnect from that energy, guys. You can't sit here and absorb the energies and beliefs and thoughts of other people that believe that you should be achieving less, that ultimately they believe that you're worth less by saying you can't achieve your goals or you can't achieve, this or that. Guys, we live in a world of, what is it? We're approaching on 7 billion, 8 billion people. There's so many opportunities out here. And when you think about the math of everything, you overcame so many odds just to get to where you're at. So don't sit here and sell yourself for less. Quit selling yourself for less. Sell yourself for more, because you are you, right? The one and only. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, and anybody that disbelieves in you or doesn't believe in you, disconnect from that shit, guys. This has been the Arena with SEADUB. We're going to continue to expand on different and sensitive and important topics, guys. If you found me on here, I love you, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.